Today we will discuss how we could quickly create approval process in Salesforce and what steps we exactly need to configure. So here you can see an example of the demo approval process in Salesforce, and let me show you what actual wizard allowing us to set at the beginning. So when we just creating an approval process, after selecting the actual object on which this approval process will work, what we need to do is specify our process unique name. After that, flow asking us to set up, what is the actual approval process criteria do we have for our articles to come up for approval. So if you, for example, have, let's say, big deals where total amount is more than 1 million, in that case you might require some additional approvals or some step in your organization. So you could specify all these criteria right there, and even you could use filter logic if you, for example, would like to combine some points and you will specify a couple of let's say stages here. You could do it how you want. So by this way you will identify what kind of, let's say, your object records will come up for approval. So once it's done, you go into the next stage, and here what we need to do is we need to define steps to whom actual request will go as a next automated approver. So in our case, what we could decide, it could be manager in our case, or if we, for example, would like to use it based on the knowledge owner, in case that my approval process is set up for the knowledge, it could be based on the knowledge owner. But at the moment I would like to just assign it to the regular manager of the user record. So after that we are selecting the record editability properties. So from there we could set up who could actually edit records during the approval process. So in our case what we could do is we could assign it to administrator only if it's necessary, or allow administrators or currently assigned approvers to edit records during the approval process. So once it's set, here we select what kind of approval assignment email templates do we have. So what our managers will actually get. So in my case, it's just a general classic email template, and here are some merge fields used. For example, if we would like to know what is in my case knowledge, article number, what will be internal URL for approve, so we could insert all of this kind of stuff into this email template and it will be sent later. Clicking on the next. So final items, what we need to do is we need to specify what will be approval page layout. So here from the all available list we just selecting what fields we would like to show to our manager for it to be visible first of all, and as a second option for it to be editable, to make sure that all necessary options will be set before the actual approval. Also what we could do is we could specify if we should display approval history information in addition to the fields selected above. And additionally, security settings. It's to whom we exactly in Salesforce allowing to, let's say, use this approval page. Should it be only, let's say, internal Salesforce application, or should it be, let's say, share it also externally? In our case, we're just using the recommended option. Clicking next. So from there what we need to do is we need to specify which users are allowed to submit the initial request for approval. So in my case I just need to have a creator and owner. That's it. If you will need to have any other kind of roles or public groups who will be able to do so, you could specify it from here. Also additional submission settings, it allows submitters to recall approval requests. So once it's done and you save it your initial settings of your approval process, please make sure that you will activate it when you will need to use it, because if you will not activate this approval process you will not see that anything started to work. But in my case I don't want yet to activate it because I need to specify approval steps. In my case what I need to do is I need to specify additional let's say approval steps. So once our record is actually locked on the initial step, what I would like to do is I would like to run first approval step. And criteria in my approval step is the following. I'm checking if current user who is actually submitting the current record for approval is a final articles approver. So it might happen that the actual approval will try to publish some articles, and if it happens, what I would like to do, this record be immediately available in the system for it to be published without additional approval. So I just making it here, and here when I specify in step criteria, I am mentioning else criteria. So what I could do from there, I could reject record, approve record, or go to the next step. In my case, if it's just final articles approval, and if this will be equal to false, that means that it will be not approver, then we will pass this record to the manager for approve, regular manager. But if it's a final article approver, then the record will be automatically approved. Going to the next stage. So from here I am selecting who will be approval for the first stage of our approval process. In my case, it's just a regular user manager field. So once it's done, I'm just clicking on save, and what I could do, I could specify second approval step if it's necessary. So on the second approval step, what I'm just checking, if, for example, at the moment, for any reason, we have any kind of articles that is created not by the final article approver, then what we would like to do is we would like assign it to the some article approvers, let's say queue, and this queue what it contains the number of users who is actually in our system final approvers. So with that way we could specify, like whatever number of final approvals managers that we want to have. And as you could see here, we could specify delegate approvers, possibility to approve this request, and what should be our reject behavior. So in our case, if on this stage our final manager will reject something, we don't want it to come back to the previous step number 1, we just want it to be rejected totally. So once it's done and we have both steps verified, what we would like to make sure that when we have final approval action, we would like to actually unlock our record for editing, and we would like to actually publish it when it's done. And when we have final rejection action, we would like to just unlock the record. So I think that the most important items from approval process that you could specify, if it will be necessary for you, for each step, what you could do is you could specify what should happen on the actual approval action, like should we update some field or send some email alert or something else. Also what we could do on the reject record if it will be happen on the first stage. Also the same we could do for stage number 2. And one more important point, it's what we just discovered, is that we could actually play with the criteria and we could use this else condition. So with this else condition we could jump from stage 1 to the stage 2, and if it's necessary we could just apply automatic approve or reject on the necessary step. So in general, that's all from the actual overview of the approval process setup actions. Thank you.